Now, not all practice is created equal. I've driven a car for at least 10,000 hours, but that does not make me the perfect driver. I definitely have some bad habits. And why did that happen? Because after I reached a certain level, I stopped growing as a driver. There was no need for me to improve. I had done well enough at parallel parking, I had done well enough at the clutch that I didn't need to improve. And so this brings me on to Anders Ericsson and Robert Poole's book Peak, where it describes the superior form of practice, which he calls deliberate practice. And this is practice that is purposeful and challenging. Because let's face it, the best growth comes when you're outside your comfort zone. Now, in the book, they give examples across many different fields, and that's not, I don't want to give examples of every field. In fact, I want to focus on creativity. Now, the example they give in the book is of Benjamin Franklin trying to improve his writing without a teacher. So Benjamin Franklin, as a young man, enjoyed the writing of the writers, the contributors to the magazine The Spectator, right? And he greatly desired to be as good at writing as those contributors. And so what he did was he examined the articles from The Spectator. He then wrote hints for himself based off each sentence in each article. He then hid the article. He then examined his hints and then tried to replicate in his own words the article himself. And then when he was finished, he compared his version to the original version, and immediately he could see where he could replicate well and where his weaknesses lied. And then he started to deliberate in his practice on improving his weaknesses. Now, to give another example, let's say, for example, that you are a rapper and you want to get better at rapping, but maybe you're getting overwhelmed by the whole gestalt of rap songs, and maybe you're just churning out rap song after rap song and you don't feel like you're getting any better, right? Well, I watched a short video on YouTube of famous and great rappers talking about Eminem, right? And one of the most common themes about when they're talking about Eminem is his wordplay. That many of his peers praised his clever wordplay. Now that's perfect, because that is a narrow enough topic, that is a narrow enough subject that you can create deliberate practice for, right? That you could easily create a practice where, let's say, every day you come up with one lyric or one phrase that has great wordplay, right? And now if you want to go a level up, or if you want to add another layer to that in the realm of audience resonance, what you could do is you could once a week take your daily wordplay lyrics and then run them by a member of your target audience, whoever you rap for, or failing that, a friend or family member, right? And then you can gauge your wordplay by the audience's reaction. You know, which ones did they laugh at? Which ones were they indifferent to? Which ones did they grimace at? And, you know, in this sense, you're getting deliberate practice in a very important characteristic in wordplay and audience resonance. And this is not just specific to Benjamin Franklin or Eminem. You can apply this to any artist, any writer, any author, any painter, and their style, right? For example, this is Douglas Adams' Dirk Gently novel, Holistic Detective Agency, and there was a bit that I chuckled at. Dirk flung the piece of paper down, put his feet up on the table, and threw his head back with his hands behind it. "You see what I have done?" he asked the ceiling, which seemed to flinch slightly at being yanked so suddenly into the conversation. So I thought that was quite funny. The personification of an inanimate object in the ceiling and being indignant and being pulled into the conversation, right? And so what I'm saying with this deliberate practice is not to become a copycat, but to have these tools in your arsenal, right? That it would be plagiarism to write word for word what I've just vocalized there and try and pass off as my own. But the technique that he used of personifying inanimate objects, you can use that yourself, and you can use that in your own style, and you can incorporate it into your own voice. Here's another example. These are lyrics from John Lennon's verse on the Beatles song I've Got a Feeling, right? So he says, everybody had a hard year, everybody had a good time, everybody had a wet dream, everybody saw the sunshine, everybody had a good year, everybody let their hair down, everybody pulled their socks up, everybody put the foot down. Now, if you were to analyze this, these lyrics particularly resonated with me, but immediately I can see two techniques that you could use, right? The repetition of everybody, he says that 8 times, and then the contrast in consecutive sentences. Hard year, good time, wet dream, sunshine, good year, hair down, socks up, foot down, right? And so to take these lyrics word for word would be plagiarism, but to analyze and implement the techniques of repetition and contrasting lyrics, it's fair game. And it'd be great, and it's a great tool to have in your arsenal and incorporate it into your own voice. You know, you might not use the words hard year and good time. You might contrast in a different way. But in this sense, you can use deliberate practice to your own ends. That to use to have the whole sport of football is too big. But when you break it down, you can be very focused in your training sessions. When you're only focusing on one small aspect, you can really improve quite quickly. And let's face it, time is only moving in one direction, that we might as well use it wisely. That's Thomas. I'm Thomas. That's my little insight on deliberate practice. I hope it helps.